Hey folks, AJ the CEO here, and we are back on, I guess, what is this, part 3 of the install of behind the scenes and me setting up everything for a new install that I have at First Baptist Church in Oxford, North Carolina. We just got in their mixer, stage box, and a bunch of other things, and I got another little toy that came in that I'll be doing a review for after this, because I didn't do the review on the first one. But we're just going to go through setting up everything. Again, all of this is tied back into the first video where we set up, and it was kind of a tutorial video talking about using the Unify network and setting that up for a church. So we already did that. We tied that into with setting up the cameras and the PTZs on video number 2. This is video number 3, and I don't know if I said part 4, but anyway, this is video number 3 where we're going to start setting up the sound system, but we're also going to bridge that off into getting this set up and establishing everything with our Unify network. So I'm going to take a seat here, and let's go ahead and switch over here. So as you can see, we got our system here. Let's go ahead and first connect up our network here. And we're going to connect that to our network jack right there. There is another jack that we're going to be using for our Ethercon over here. I actually have that on the floor. I actually need to connect that, but we'll come back to doing that. And I have my laptop that is going to set in place of the computer, because I'm still waiting for the computer case to come here sometime today, so I can finish building out the computer. So that's the reason why I'm using my laptop. So let's go ahead and turn the system on. And actually, I don't know if, let me tilt this up a little bit so you can actually see. And again, I'm running out of space, but there is the rack right there with their 4-unit mics that we're going to be using. So I have it connected right there. And then over there is the rack that's going to sit in the front of the church with the S16. That is what I have. And as you can see, I am running out of space to do all of this. But we got our stuff set up. Now on our computer, what we're going to do is first I want to make sure that I am only on the Cloud Gateway Ultra. I always get the name backwards. The Gateway Cloud Ultra, Ultra Cloud Gateway, Ultra something. So that's what we're connected to. My laptop is connected to that, and the mixer is connected to that. So let's go ahead and punch in here. And I am at an angle so that I can have some space here on the desk. So the first thing we're going to do, let's go over here to setup, and we're going to go over to our network. And as you can see, it is assigning our network over DHCP, which is not a problem. But what we're going to do is we are going to set this up so that it's going to, just like with the cameras, we're going to set this to a static IP address, but then we're also going to have it assigned at the router level as well too. So with this, we're going to go ahead and switch over to, we're going to change that to static. And let me see if I can punch in just a little bit more so that you can see a little bit better. All right, so as you can see, it's assigning 246, but with this, the ATEM we set at 60, so we're going to set this at 61. So we're just going to change this number to 61, and that's pretty much it. We're just going to assign it, and when I'm able to get into the Cloud Gateway Ultra, I'm going to go ahead and assign the MAC address to this to always give that same thing. Alrighty, so I am now logged into the back end of unified.ui.com. This is my main account so that I can see all of the setups that I have, but we're going to go to First Baptist Church. Now I could go directly to 192.168.1.1, but I'm kind of jumping between networks here in my setup, so this was just the easiest thing to do. So let's go over here to our clients. And let me turn to online only. All right, so there's our X32 right there. So let's go ahead and change the name. So that'll be X32 compact. We have a fixed IP address, and we have that as 61. Now I'm going to go here and turn on all my devices because I want to make sure what did I set this up for. So yeah, the ATEM was set up at 60, so the sound is going to be 61. So let's go ahead and turn this off. I'm just going to actually reboot it. So it should pick up the new IP address here. So as you can see, it just went offline. Let's give it a second. And you can see this is the computer that I had set up. I haven't finished, so I haven't gone in here and set up everything yet. All right, so we got this set up. Let's cut back over to our X32. Let's go to setup. Let's go to network. And we're still set to DHCP, and it's assigning us 61, which is fine. So again, like I said, we could set it back to static, but we have the device set to an IP address. We also have the router assigning it to that IP address, so we should be good to go from this standpoint. Now, let's go ahead and cut back over to my computer here. Now, what we want to do is we should be able to see the network now. So just like on the other computer when I finished building it, we're going to be using the X32 Edit app. And I already had it on this system. So let's go ahead and open this up. And let's change our size so it makes it a little bit easier for y'all to see. All right. So now let's go into our settings. Now this is going to be vanilla because this is the last setup when I did this at Antioch. So we're going to, all of this should be wiped out. So we're going to, there it is. You see 61 is showing up there correctly. And we're going to sync from the mixer to the PC because if we did it the other way, it's going to push all of Antioch settings over there. So we didn't want to do that. So let's go ahead and connect. And as you can see, everything is getting wiped out. Now, I am not too familiar. I'm gonna have to go back in the video and look back over everything. I don't believe they're doing anything in zones with the musicians in the pulpit because their choir actually is on the floor compared to in the choir loft. I think they made that change ever since COVID, so I don't have to worry about that. But I do believe we're actually going to put some speakers on the floor for the choir, the musicians, and the pulpit. So I'm just going to make it as if all of that is done. So first, let's go over here to our buses. And I'm going to come in here and let's just start naming these. So this will be pulpit, and let's make that yellow. Then we'll do other one for choir. We'll make that, I thought I picked pink. And then we'll have another one for the band. We'll make that green. And then we're going to use 1, 2, 3. We have to group these. I'm going to use 5 and 6 to be my live stream. So I'm going to click on Mix Bus 5. Go over here to config, and I'm going to link these. And now I'm going to rename one of these. Now, being fully transparent with y'all, I've had some people ask me, how come I don't use a matrix or for this setup to where it will take a mixture of what I've done live and send it over to the live stream, and I can make more customizations, and it's not going to be as intricate of a change that needs to be done. Honestly, the reason I've done that is because I'm still learning that personally. And from when I'm dealing with a lot of new ministries that really have just got to the point of just turning on the sound system and turning the volume up and down and maybe playing with the gain a little bit to compensate for when people are far away from the mic. I like personally teaching this way so that if they make changes on the main live, they understand the concept by physically seeing the difference when it comes to them having to make the change for the live stream. Now, as time has gone by, and as I'm learning myself, I'll probably move Antioch and a bunch of other places that I have access to for their live stream, maybe Epworth and some other ones like that, over to a matrix so that it makes it easier. But for right now, it's like the competency level for me and as well as the other people that I've been teaching, we're not there yet. It's easier for us to look over here and, okay, here's the board. This is what's going to happen for everybody inside the sanctuary. Then I can click on choir pulpit and adjust it that way. And it, especially in the heat of battle in the middle of church, when somebody's saying, hey, can you turn more up for this? It makes it a lot easier for me as well as the people in my media ministry. And I've taught for them to go into this app, just press band, and now I can just slide that fader up just for that. That works a lot easier for me. Again, I have messed with the matrices before, and then honestly, I reverted back from them because I came in and fixed a whole lot of stuff where other companies have installed stuff and they've set up matrices, but they never taught the people who are using the system how to do it. And since I don't know it, I moved them back over to something that I know that I can teach them on, compared to trying to get to learn how to fix this, understand it, and teach it to a bunch of people who need this fixed like within 30 minutes. So that's me. All right, so we got our live stream set up. That's going to be by default. If we go to outputs and we hook everything up, by default, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are outputs 5 and 6 on the back of this board. So when I hook my ATEM up with our cable here, all I have to do is find 5 and 6 for my outs. 5 and 6, and then I would run this into my ATEM, and now we have our ATEM mix, live stream mix. So that's all we needed to do, and guess what? Our live stream is done. All right. So now I have a couple of cables over here that we're going to hook up so we can get some audio running through here. I actually have an amp right here in front of me, and I have some ceiling speakers that we're going to be installing in that fellowship hall downstairs. This was actually a new amp that I had that wasn't used for install. Hopefully I can get it to work. If not, it's going to go into the trash that goes out for everybody tomorrow. So for right now, I'm still trying to decide where I'm going to put the wireless mics. I could put them in the second floor because that in the media area, because that's where everything is. But I could possibly put it in the rack that's going to be sitting on the floor with the musicians. But for right now, I'm just going to put everything into jacks 1 through 4 here. And then I'm going to set up our routing, because we're only going to have 6 devices connected directly to the board here. And that's going to be the 4 mics. And then we're also going to hook the computer up so we can bring audio in this way. So let me go ahead and hook this up real quick, and we'll be back, and we're going to start testing and making sure we're getting some audio into the system. All right, so I have the mics hooked up to here. I have the snake hooked up as well too. I need to configure that, but then what else? Yeah, I think I got most of that, and I got some batteries in the mic. I didn't break out all 4 of them because we only need to test a couple of them. So let's go ahead and cut back over here to the computer. And one other thing I did forget to do, which I did hook up, we need to make another mix. This is going to be for the fellowship hall. And this reminds me, I need to actually get a volume control to put on the wall to control the volume downstairs. So instead of having them run upstairs to get somebody. So let's come down here and we'll just do, not hell, fellowship. Well, I could do exterior or something like that. And let's make that, oh no. Let's make that red. All right. So that's going to be the mix. And I have that plugged into number 4. We don't have to get super complicated because we don't have that many mixes. 7 and 8 by default is going to be the master out as well too. All right. So let's go ahead and before I try and start messing with the mics here, let's go back to our main. I need to switch back over here and set the stage box so that it shows up appropriately and we're synced up. Alrighty, so I got the snake talking to the board now. So if we come over here and we go to our routing, you can see that the S16 is hooked up to AES port A, so we're talking, so that's good to go. Now, when it comes to setting up, I think we talked about this before, but again, we're going to be rehashing all of this. This is going to be in grouping how the board can be set up, but we're not going to be using every single input. So for right now, I'm going to set this up as user config. So that means I can mix and match which port is going to be which. So right here, if I had it set up this way, it means channels 1 through 8 have to be connected to the board, 9 through 16 have to be connected to the board, and then 17 through 32 would be over here, and I can mix and match. But if you set it to user, you can make them any way you want to. So now that we have it set for user in, we're going to come over here to user in, and now we have to do our little matrix here to show how we're going to do everything. So I'm going to change this just a little bit to make this easier, and I need to make sure I remember, does the pastor have a lapel or something like that? So I'm going to make a little bit of room for that. So for right now, we're going to just do 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the 4 mics that I just physically hooked up because their source is the local input on the back, and that's being routed to channel 1 through 4. All right. Yeah, it looks the same, but we can do it a little bit differently. All right. So I'm just going to assume that maybe 5 and 6 are his lapel. So what I'm going to do is also hook the computer up over USB so I don't have to worry about static. So I'm going to come over here to card and say that channel 7 and 8 are actually going to come from the card or the USB input 1 and 2. So on the board, 7 and 8 are going to actually represent the cable coming in over USB. All right. So we've already used up 8. So let's go for 9 through 16. I'm actually going to jump over to our stage box and just say that that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then as we go down, I'm just going to continue and use up all of the jacks on the stage box, which I don't believe we're going to use. And then for our last channels, that's where I'm going to switch back over to what's available for local connection. So we left off at inputs 6. So if we come over here, so that would be 7, 8, and then we pick up from there. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we still got 2 channels left because we used some other stuff. So there's our sound setup. All right, so now that we got that done, I don't know which mic is which, so that's what we're going to be labeling this. So I'm now going to turn this mic on. And there we go. That's actually channel number 4, as you can see right there. So I need to start labeling these. They have these little brackets on here. So this is actually, I'm going to label this one as orange. And hopefully this will still fit inside the casing. So I'm going to come in here and we're just going to label this as a wireless mic. I'll change that to solid yellow, and then we'll call this, I'll just say that's orange for right now. They can change the names to whatever they want, but if we talk through here and we go to our channel, you're not going to hear anything right now, but as you can see for our main, this is what's going on. And let's turn our gain up just a little bit so we can get a little bit more, because I'm pretty close to the mic, and we'll play around with that. But we have a good reading coming off of this mic. All right, so let me set this down and we will go to our next mic. And that's 3. So I'm going to make this one, I'll make this one gray. Come over here. And I don't want to use the gray coloring because that's actually going to hide the text from the screen. or I could just set it as this white here. So let's set that at 0. And what's the gain on there? We'll match the gain on this one. So this one is coming through pretty good as well too. So the other two I will label, but what we want to do is see if we can test, are we getting any audio that's going to the output? So number 4, if I click on here, and then we need to turn up our volume that's going to the fellowship hall. So you're not going to be able to see it because the camera is not going to be able to reach down to where it is. But I want to see, are we getting a reading? All right, so as much as I wanted to test some ceiling speakers and have it in here, it looks like the amp that I got is actually dead. So I need to toss that, or maybe see about, maybe it's a fuse or something like that, I don't know. But we got this set up here. So if I come in here, we got this, and now we're just gonna go through, I mean, we only got, I can actually label these and just switch these around for which one is which. So I can come in here and this will gonna be, you know, blue. And then this one will be black. Might be the pastor's mic if it goes from there. And I'm gonna actually make that a solid white. That's there. I wish I had, I think I have some other colors. I might actually use those instead to make it a little bit easier. But these are frequency adjusting. I can change the channel, excuse me, on the mic. So if there's any conflict with some existing stuff, we should be good to go. All right, so the same way, if we came over here to our live stream, and we can turn this up. Let's just set all of these at 0. Maybe I shouldn't have turned this off. So if I come in here, see now we have our audio coming in for our live stream mix, because if I brought this all the way down, see nothing is coming to it. So our mix is good. When I get some more space, I'll hook the ATEM back up and we can confirm that the audio is there. I'm probably not going to do it here because I just don't have enough room with the mixer taking up so much space. And then, you know, by default, we could run to all of these and set our sound for each one. So for the most part, those mics would probably be the same across the board for the wireless mics. And then we set 5 and 6 to the computer. No, we set 7 and 8 to the computer. So we need to actually link these channels together. And this will actually be PC left and PC right. And let's give it a nice little icon here so it makes it easy for us to see exactly what that is. And we can change the color. My clicking must be off. I know I clicked turquoise. So for the rest of the channels, they're going from the snake. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, all the way to channel 24. That is going to be with the snake. So right now, we can assume this is, because we're going to plug all the instruments in as well too. So I can say this is piano, you know, organ. I'm just going to assume this is probably going to change. Bass, and then we got drums. So this will be the kick, the snare, our hi-hat, high tom, mid tom, and low tom. And then we can do overhead left, and then overhead right. Again, this is just my assumption. We don't have any of this stuff. I don't know. I know I have 2 direct boxes that are going to be for piano and bass, I believe. I think they have drums, but I don't think they have any. No, I know they didn't get any drum mics with this install, but we can easily add those later. All right, so we got our sound set up, we got that set up, we got our mix set up, all the other fun stuff. So really straightforward. I'm gonna start, I'm not gonna save a scene. Well, I was gonna say I'm not gonna save a scene yet, but we might as well. So I wanna save this locally. So I'm gonna save all and save all of these as a scene. I'm gonna save these locally on my computer. So that's First Baptist Church, Oxford. And we'll do it today's date, 12/02/2024. So if anything happens, I can actually jump back to this. Then I'm also going to do the same thing here. And there's a couple other things I need to change. So when these are set up, the X32s, there's a couple of settings that I personally just changed. So if I come over here back to setup, let's go back to our global and let's go to our config. So a couple of things I like to do is when I click the view button under scenes, I don't want to go to cues. I want to go directly to scenes. So I'm going to set that. I switch back to our 12-hour clock mode. I mean, if they're military, we can switch back to that. That is fine. And we are on the latest firmware, so we're good. I like to put mine at 48 kilohertz. That's fine. That's the same thing I have on the Snake. I need to set the clock. And I thought the clock was going to be set once I synchronize this with the computer. So it looked like the clock didn't get set. So let me synchronize the time. We'll do this real quick. There we go. So now it's the actual right time. So that was a button on the computer just to send the time to set it up. All right, so we got that straight. Remote, don't really need to mess with that. Network, we're good. Our naming, this is where we can come in. I like doing it through the app because it's easier to just, and faster just to pick the icons that way. Don't need to worry about our preamps. The card stuff we're gonna set up, but as I'm learning as well too, with our, with using Reaper or multi-track recording, need to make sure it's 32 in and 32 out. That way you can get all the channels. We'll probably talk about it at a later time. But for the most part, we got our board set up. Outside of, you know, I got direct boxes here that I will hook up. But again, I have my keyboard upstairs. There's not enough room for here, but we got this, the keyboard set up as number one. So I have my label maker here. So we'll probably label this stuff so it's easy, so I'll know which one goes where. Not like this matters when it comes to what we plug into, because this doesn't matter. Just the jack that we're plugged into is what really matters. We'll do that. I need to install, actually, that's what I forgot to do. I never linked up our audio into this with card 2, and we can test that. So you need an old-fashioned printer cable for that. So that's what I got here. You need to make sure that you plug this into the USB, the audio USB jack on the back of your X32. So if I route this around here, and it is right there on this side. So we got that plugged in there, and I just heard the computer go off. So now let's go back over here to our computer. Now you need to have the software installed for this. I believe I already did because I had it left over from when I did a similar install. So yeah, there it is. So our board is showing up right now. So by default, we set up the board to listen for channels 1 and 2 coming from the USB, which with the driver, we can pick 1 through 8. So if I come over here to the computer and I select my speaker out, as you can see, I have 1 through 8, 7, 8, 5, 6, 3, 4, or 1, 2, which doesn't seem to be showing. So we're gonna come to more settings here. And yeah, so we already have 1 out as our default. So that's what's going out right now. So I don't need to do this, but on the computer, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna turn off all of the other outs that come from this USB, so that way somebody won't accidentally pick this one as well too. And then our inputs, we're not going to be that concerned about right now, because we're going to be bringing in audio from the ATEM. When they're using Zoom or anything like that, the ATEM is going to be the audio. So the input, like the mic from the board, does not matter. So now that I got this, let's go ahead and open up YouTube. And I just want to verify that I'm actually getting some sound here. So let me go over to this guy that you may know. And I'm gonna go to my latest live stream because it has some music playing there in the background. We're gonna unmute that. And when we cut back, let me skip forward just a little bit. Never mind, I need to make timestamps in this one. I forgot about that. All right, so as you can see, we're blasting in here. So I need to bring this audio down some. I normally let the computer be like at 50, but here that just seems like that's still super, super hot. So let's see, what do we, oh, let's turn our gain down. We don't need it to be that high since we're a direct instrument coming in. I can almost bring that thing down to the floor and we will be good. So if I bring it up to here, that volume would be fine. Now I do have some speakers here. Let me see if I can actually hook this up to my little speaker right here and we can get some audio. All right, so now let's verify our sound. I'm gonna use the same cable that's going to our live stream because this is the longest one I have. And we're gonna plug this into our, let me make sure my live stream is down first, all right? So what we're gonna do is cut over here and plug our main out, our live stream out into my speaker right here. So as you can see, we're getting audio. And if we go to our live stream mix, we need to turn up the PC here. And now let's turn up our main volume and we should get some audio here. So I'm gonna come here, let's turn the main volume up here. Now I'm getting some static. I think that's kind of tied to my computer. Let's just verify real quick. I do have another cable. I'm gonna plug this in from our sound out directly into the computer. So I have this other cable here because the jack on my computer is also a mic. So I have a cable that has 3 bars on it. We're gonna plug that out and I'm just gonna use the RCA input on the back of the board here. So we gotta change our audio for this to work. So first, let's unplug the USB from here. So now no audio will be coming through here. We need to change this so that our audio is coming through our headphone stuff. So that's speakers. So we're good. Now, because we're plugged into our aux, our audio is right there. So let's link these real quick. And I think it might just be because I didn't reboot after this driver stuff. So let's try this again under the auxiliary. If we bring this up, and now let's bring up the live stream mix, which is what my speaker is connected to. Yeah, so it must be with the cable. So I think I still got it like balled up here. So maybe that's probably the issue. Worst case scenario, if that doesn't work, we can just use the physical cable like I'm connected right now and we'll be good to go. But I'm happy. we got sound coming in here perfectly fine. We've tested out some mics. We got this. We got the routing set up. We have the network set up. We have the snake set up. Literally all I got to do now is put the thing at the church, run the snake down the wall, down all the way up to the front where the snake is going to live, hook up the instruments, hook up the speakers, then test this again. So we know it works in-house. That's where all this is. I like setting up everything here to make sure it works. So that way I know either it's something that happened in transporting it down to the location in the car, which shouldn't be, because I mean, everything's going to be packed up. Nothing's going to be jostling around all over the place. Or it's just a configuration. So like to confirm everything's working here, and we go from there. So I think we're going to be good to go. I'm just trying to think through everything else. So most likely the other thing I will need to get is another cable. So just like I have this hooked up right now, I'm going to have the computer hooked up a different way. And I'm going to have another cable hooked up so that if somebody wants to bring a phone or a tablet, they can hook up, or kind of like the review that I did on the X5 Bluetooth XLR adapter, you can hook that up and then you can have Bluetooth and anybody can have their phone nearby. And if you want to play anything, so, or you can just play the stuff through the computer, stuff that you have a right to play. That's the reason I played this music. I have the rights to those music. I'm not going to play anything else that we don't do. I think that's about it. I do like piecemealing this stuff because normally this is what I do behind the scenes to get everything set up. I break out everything, hook up everything, update everything, make sure everything is working, pack everything back up, put it in a box, take it down to the church. So most of the time, the only thing I'm really spending my time with at the church is running cables and doing, you know, climbing in attics, crawl spaces and stuff like that, hanging TVs. Everything else like this is already done. So I think that's about it, folks. Let me know if you have any other questions or some other stuff you would like me to go over. I do plan, because we're not going to be installing this for about 3 weeks, 2 weeks. So this is going to be sitting here. So I am going to do a video that I know I had a consultation with somebody, and a couple other people have said they've had some issues with trying to get sound to and from the X32 on the Mac and on the computer for Zoom, for playing stuff, but then also getting audio out. So I'll do a refresher on that now that I got the board here in-house again, so I can play around with that instead of taking everything to a church to work on this. Also, we're going to be walking through the setup of multi-track recording. Again, I give all the credit to Drew Brasher. This is who the YouTube channel where I learned that stuff, and any of in-depth stuff that I don't know with X32, I am constantly studying his channel. Link will be down below for him. Never met him, but great content. Really has helped me with stuff when I've hit a brick wall and get a better understanding. His matrix and stuff is what I'm going through right now, and the EQing as well too. Very, very detailed video. So anyway, if you ever need any help, know that you can go to ajholmes.com/consultations. You can set up a consultation with me, or you can email me at questions@ajholmes.com. But if me and you go back and forth over 3 emails, I would highly recommend you just go ahead and set up a consultation. That way I got dedicated time to try and help you, either in person, phone call, Zoom, where we can remote in and look at your stuff and all this other stuff as well too. But I think that's about it. Link is down below to everything I did here. And I want to give a big shout out to Patrick. That's my main man over there at Sweetwater. He is very quick and Johnny on the spot when I put in an order, and he gets this stuff to me quick, fast, in a hurry. So Patrick, thank you so much. Sweetwater is a great place. That's where I get this stuff from. So I think that's about it. If you like this type of content, appreciate a like, consider subscribing, hit that bell. That way you get notified when we come out with other videos to help modernize your media ministry. And if you like what we're doing, folks, hey, I sponsor this stuff with my company, as well as great people that support this channel through Patreon or YouTube members. And if you like what we do and you want to help, you can go to patreon.com/AJ2CEO, get started for $1 a month, or you can click the join button down below. No matter which way you pick, folks, you are helping us train media ministries all over the world. So that's about it, folks. We'll be seeing you on the next video. Later.